right, you legends.
Here we are.
Happy Memorial Day weekend to those of you on this side of the Atlantic in the U.S. We celebrate Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day is on Monday, so the whole weekend is kind of a holiday weekend. But we've been blessed with 18 Celsius to start, and it feels like 18 Celsius. It's cool. Very unusual for this time of the year. So today is a long ride for us. Those boys are gonna do that same old taco corner. We're not getting there. We'll get some clips with them, and then we're gonna go and do an excursion today. So stay tuned.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton. We rolled into the woodlands. We had a little extra time, so we took the long way around Alden Bend, got there, picked up Team RR. Right around 1488, they decided to wait for someone. We left them, we took off, went straight to 105. We rode up to Highland Hollow, did the climbs in there. Then we went across the lake. We filmed the lake crossing right there. We went north after crossing the lake into the forest. That's off camera. Up to Bethel Road. When we got to Bethel Road, we came south and we exited the forest and started to film on 1097 there. We picked up a couple of riders that came by. We rode with them into Montgomery. I think you will like the clips we got for you. It was a very pleasant day. The temperature varied quite a bit. We started around 18 Celsius. By the time we were done, it was like 36. So it was in the mid 90s when we were done Fahrenheit wise. We came back on Honia, Egypt, into the woodlands, and took the long way back. Ended up doing almost 170 kilometers, about 105 miles. We're at Crust Pizza. We're about ready to roll out. Abby said a prayer right before the camera was turned on.
It is, what time is it? 7:05.
You can pray all you want. When you get on the road, if you're not safe and careful, God gave you the skills you need so you can pay attention. If you're reckless, prayer is not going to help you. So you don't pray and then go jump in front of a truck. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. So I'm talking with Doug here. We're rolling out. Doug shot on the left here. See how he matches his jersey with his sock? It works nicely. Nice coordination. It's the details. It's all in the details. Everything in life. You want to be good at it? Pay attention to the details. You got to do the work. One of the riders on here, Miri, she reminded me of it. Said, I watched the video she posted on Paul's Strava page. She was watching one of my older videos where I said, you got to do the work. You got to get out there. Not everybody's very serious, so you will see us leave these guys in a few kilometers because they continue to disregard. They continue to disregard other people's time. Don't let other people take your time for granted. The same guy who's always late keeps sending messages and expects the group to wait for him. And Mark, who is the one who set up this ride, has no problem wasting other people's time. He didn't say anything to us about riding towards Aldi to pick up anyone. And in fact, if he wants to meet the group there, he needs to be ready to go when the group gets there. You don't hold up 20 guys to wait for one guy who's late frequently. That's a total disregard for everybody else's time. And maybe the rest of them don't mind, but I don't cotton to that, if you know what I mean. So we just blew them off and took off. You'll see. Do not let anybody waste your time. Time is precious. That's all you have. You sell some of it for work. You use some of it to hang out with your mates, your family, whatever. Your asset is time. Do not waste it. So one of the joys of our sport is that we're rolling down the road and we're chatting. Just nice. I love that about cycling. So if the people who are running the group you're with do not respect your time, then you have to decide and make an executive decision not to allow them to waste your time. If the rest of these guys don't seem to have a problem with it, they follow Mark, whether it makes sense or not. But I don't get up early in the morning to go wait for people. People need to be on time. The clocks don't run differently in my home versus someone else's. You try that at work, you late at work, they'll fire you. That's it. They'll find somebody else who can be there on time. So it was very annoying. You would see, and the main thing I was annoyed at on this particular ride was that we were not told that they were stopping, and we were not told why. I ended up finding out from one of the riders, Mary. She mentioned it, but the leader of the ride just pulled into a parking lot on the way without telling us anything, as if to say, we don't matter. That's nonsense. You don't do that. You can kill a group by the way you treat it. The group is a combination of people. The people that make up the group matter. Nobody gives a crap about the leader of the group. You by yourself, if no one comes to your ride, you're riding alone. You don't have a group. It's the people that show up that matter. So you need to not disregard the time of the people who are in front of you. You know, when I was much younger, we'd go into a store and certain vendors, especially the ones that were run by mom and pop, if you're standing there and they're talking to you and the phone rings, they let the phone ring and they talk to you because you're there. You're in front of them. They gave you that preference. So don't let anyone take your time or you for granted. You control that.
Hey, Rudy. How are you, man?
So, you know, we start our day at 5. I start my day at 5. Paul probably gets up around 4. You know, because during the week, that's his normal schedule. He gets up early. We get up early and we're about an hour away, let's say, by bicycle. We can make it on time. Someone who's 10 minutes away by bicycle is always late. Why should we wait for him or her? That's foolishness. That's a total disregard. And as I said earlier, I don't cotton to that. You know, you don't need the group. It's a nice thing to have, but for the most part, you sit on the bike and you go and do the work. So in the past, when this would happen, we'd roll off and we would just keep, like, you know, a few weeks ago, we keep like a moderate zone 2 tempo. On this ride, we gave it the stick. They never saw us again. So we're not going to be waiting for them. Next time they decide they want to stop, we'll just take off. They won't see us. We'll go do our ride. We're doing big rides anyway. They're just running around going to Taco Corner or whatever. So we're going to start visiting. There are a lot of groups in the area. I mentioned that before. We're investigating. We want to introduce you guys to. There is a store called Sun and Ski in the area, and they have rides that leave there. We'll introduce you to them. You guys have already seen the WCC boys, so we'll be visiting them too. So we're going to start rotating and visiting other groups to give you different perspectives. The Sun and Ski guys, they roll out right now this time of year at 7. I ended up calling the store to find out. He said you might want to be there at 6:30. I knew what he meant. If you're coming in a car, he said you want to be there at 6:30. They clip in at 7, whether you're ready or not, they're gone. They don't sit around waiting for anyone. That's the kind of thing I'm used to. And the same thing with the WCC guys. They show up on time and they go, it's time to go. You know, if you're there and you got a little issue, yeah, they'll wait for you, but nobody gonna go in a parking lot that is not even the start point to wait for you because you're late. He sent a message at 6:54, see you at Aldi. I saw it on the group me when I got home after this ride. So he left home late and then expects the group to wait for him. Please. You'll be riding alone. You know, you'll have to be on time. So at this point, we don't know anything about that. We don't know if there was no expectation of a stopping point or anything along the ride. No one. And what annoys me is it was dangerous because we go through the intersection. He just pulls into the parking lot. We don't know what happened. Did he have a flat? Whatever else. So everybody's looking around and we're queuing up behind each other. You know how that gets when it's unexpected. So it was a bit dangerous. And that's why I got so annoyed. Because I asked Mary, what's going on? Even Abby on the left will ask, is everybody here? He thought something happened. How do you not inform people what you'd like to do and get their input? The ride is not about any one person. The ride is about the people that show up. Remember that as you build your group, because groups come and go. They die. There's a lot of groups, like the Bike Barn right now has no more rides on Saturday. The ride got so boring with so many rules that people stopped going. I just found out on a ride on Sunday with one of the riders that used to participate. He told me the ride is no longer in existence. And this is a bike shop, the Bike Barn, that was bought by Trek.
All right.
So they're big enough, but they have no Saturday ride. This is where it happened. Watch. This is FM 1488. We're going. We catch the green. We're moving. I'm accelerating coming up. And then I see this. You see how Abby had to move to the left? Look. He just turned in there. That's Mark. And we're supposed to read his mind. So now everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. You hear Abby asking, is that everybody? Do we have everybody? He thought something happened. So Mary just told me what was going on. And
I'll take the whole group in there to pick up one person.
They're waiting for Mike.
And the guy's not even in there.
I almost caused a wreck. Everybody queuing up behind me. Nonsense.
That's what annoyed me. It was dangerous because people looking around. Nobody expected that. And so as you hear Paul, let's go. I was annoyed because of how he did it. You don't take for granted that it's okay to go stand around waiting. He's done that crap too many times. He should have said something that we'd expect them to stop. Then I would have gone left instead of accelerating in the group.
See, everybody's breaking. We don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
Everybody queuing up. You can cause a wreck.
That's what annoyed me, more so than the fact that they don't seem to mind that Mike Weingrad believes that it's okay for him to be late and you're supposed to wait for him. Who the hell is he?
Nope.
When you're wasting your time sitting in parking lots, if you're not moving, you're not getting fit. You gotta maximize your riding time.
Anymore, man. You just keep rolling.
No, the reason why I said that is like all of a sudden we didn't know why people were stopping. It was dangerous.
Yeah. And they do it in the wrong place.
He doesn't tell the group anything. He just turns.
He didn't point. He didn't say, "Oh, we're going in there." He didn't say anything. He just turned in there. It was like, what's going on? Everybody's surprised. You heard Abby asking, "Is everybody here?" He thought something happened. That was just rude. I ain't got time for that. I don't have patience for that kind of nonsense. Do not take me for granted. I treat everybody the same way. Everybody matters. So I was annoyed because of the hazard that move created. Because there was no question that we were not stopping. We never stopped.
You don't know what's going on. You were in front of me.
Yep.
People looking around.
So everybody started looking around and they're fishtailing. You know how that gets. We're behind Paul, so you didn't see it on camera. So it was dangerous back there.
I knew I wasn't gonna stop.
Yeah, we never stop for that nonsense. I ain't waiting on nobody. You
Because
late,
and if
that's
you're
it.
turn in there. Just turn in there. Why are you? Yeah.
Yeah, let us know you're turning so we know to slow down. We're all accelerating through that light to make sure it doesn't change, and then you just turn. So people are concerned, they're looking around, and so that means they're fishtailing. Everybody's break dancing back there because of some unannounced stoppage. You know, even if you have a flat, you announce flat so people know. Just turn in there. That is nonsense. I don't have time for that.
I'll tell the guys on the channel, don't let any group waste your time. Yeah, we're hitting the brakes, we're reacting.
One of the most experienced and accomplished riders in the area. You guys know Mo. Mo is always early. I mean, and that's why he's accomplished. He respects and values his time. So he maximizes his time. He shows up on time, ready to go. Boom, boom, boom. So he can go do something else with the day.
It's already 7:20 almost.
They leave at 7 and they're still sitting around. Yeah, sitting around. They leave early and waste time.
You should be rolling. You should be in the lot on the road ready to go. You're going to go take the group in there away from him. Please.
He lives off of that highway and is too lazy to get up in the morning and ride to the right start. So they're supposed to meet him over there. He's not even there. Even though it's closer to where he lives. And they're gonna sit in the parking lot and wait. When you let people take you for granted, they will continue to take you for granted. So let them queue up like sheep behind Mark while he does that nonsense. Why should he show up on time if you all are fools enough to stand in a parking lot and wait for him? You know, he should show up at noon. Then you all sit there for 4 hours. At this point, I decide, and I don't know if I've already told Paul, I said, let's pour it on, let's go. I was like, nobody's catching us today. Because a lot of times we'll just keep the pace steady now. I don't know if it's here or when I take my next rotation. But we decide we're just gonna go ahead and go. We're doing a bigger ride than they were doing anyway. So I decided to get very Aero because it's very windy, it's breezy. The wind actually feels good. See, it's like what, 16 Celsius. I thought it was 18, but 16 Celsius, so 64, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. It's nice. We don't get this low kind of temperature this late in the year, in the spring. That's what I just told Paul. I said, they're gonna have to work their tail off to catch us. This is where I decide I'm just gonna ride. We're gonna ride hard. That's why I don't depend on heart rate. My heart rate is still 140. I'm riding harder than that. It's got to catch up. It doesn't. When you get fit, it takes more work for your heart rate to get up. And that's why when you're training with heart rate, you got to compensate for that. Your effort begins when you start to ride, not when the heart rate finally gets up to where it's in the zone, giving your muscles what it needs. Because as you get fitter, it won't go as high. Because a high heart rate does not necessarily mean that you're fit. It may mean that you're not in top condition. Because when you're fit, your resting heart rate drops and your working heart rate, the zones are tighter and it takes larger loads to get you into the higher zones. That's the whole point of training consistently. You hear that wind? And I'm trying to keep my head out of it. So your position must be such that your body, your torso, is relatively aero when you're in the drops or the hoods. You see how it got quiet right there? Paul's looking for the best draft. Because we're riding here. Right there, look how the wind, it got quiet. The wind's blowing from north and from the right. North is in our face, and the right is east. It's northeasterly. In the afternoon, it will switch to southeast. That's why the temperature varied so much. But we're pouring it on here. We're working. I'm working at my sweet spot right now. My heart rate hasn't caught up yet, but it will. I'm edging into the bottom of zone 4, right above tempo. And at this point, I'm like, anybody that catches us will have to really work hard. We're not going to make it easy. We're doing about 27 miles an hour. Sustainable. So I don't look at speed when I'm riding. I pay attention to my legs and how the gear feels that I'm in. Am I taking it over? Am I on top of the gear? You work, don't labor. I didn't realize that my cadence was in the mid-90s. It felt a little sluggish because right now I'm not super warmed up yet. The first hard effort takes the body a while. I use my hip to dodge some imperfections in the pavement. Paul's coming up. I'm going to transfer the camera. So that nonsense that Mark did over there, I wouldn't even do to my kids. They matter. You don't just decide what you want to do in your mind and people are just supposed to queue up behind you. Please. You know, get people that have no plan. They'll do that foolishness. You keep that up, people will just stop coming to your rides. Keep wasting time. They stop too much. Waste too much time, you won't get in shape. And half the time they don't want to ride hard anyway. So what's the point? They don't do the work. So they stay slow all year. The whole group is not slow. There's just a few people in the group that's slow. They cry about the weather, like I mentioned in other videos. Too cold, too hot. There's always something to complain about instead of just getting their butts out and riding. So I'm coming to the front. We're going to swap the camera. You can see how relaxed we are. You don't need to be fighting the bike. When the bike fits you, you're supposed to look smooth. That wind is blowing hard, so I keep my torso down. Now my heart rate is catching up. It's getting near the bottom of zone 4, near sweet spot. Because the road is going up and it's very windy, I'm treating it like a climb, keeping my cadence in the 80s, using more of my muscular strength. Because the idea is to keep this steady so Paul can find a rhythm. Now I'm a heart rate right at 160. This is my range for sweet spot. Crossing from tempo into the zone 4. That's what sweet spot is. You got to find your sweet spot. It's a very effective zone for training. The adaptations gained from training in sweet spot are really nice. And you don't have to do a tremendous amount of work to benefit from it. the load, the duration does not need to be huge. So you want to find I'm telling him that we're taking this light. You want to find the smallest possible gear that you can turn to achieve that speed. There's no point in going into a gear that's too huge and you're behind the gear. The road is going up. It is very windy. And all I'm focusing on is the load on my legs and the effort required to stay in that zone. Paul comes through to take his cut. He's using a slightly smaller ratio than I am, and he's spinning a little faster. So that's pretty much how you would work in a breakaway. So at this point here, we're keeping the effort high because whoever catches up to us, we want them to be gassed by the time they get to us. No one caught us today. We ended up riding with Greg on 105 off camera for a while, but we didn't see that group anymore. Let them waste their time waiting around. They spend too much time waiting, and then they go on the quiet roads. They want to wait at an intersection to regroup and then drop people. You guys have heard me talk about it. Just ride till you get to a main stop. And if people aren't far enough behind, they'll catch up. But they don't make changes. They leave people behind, then they want to regroup, but then they ride at the same fast pace that caused the people to get dropped in the first place. So they get dropped again. So why did you wait for them? If you wait for them, you need to make some changes so they don't get dropped. We're not going super hard right now. Like I said, right at sweet spot. The road goes up. I make sure the gearing is right. You can see my cadence is right around 90.
I see a group coming.
So he says he sees a group coming. When I looked in my mirror, I didn't see anybody. So when he says I see a group coming, I redoubled my effort. Look at my heart rate go up. Because I can push all the way up to like 182 or something like that. My time trial pace is right around 178 to 182. You know, when I used to compete anyway. So I've got a lot of range left. I'm not going full gas. So I decided, okay, we're just going to go even harder. I looked in my mirror. I still don't see anybody yet. And that's all the more reason I say, okay, I know he saw them, but with the undulations on this road and the curves, it's easy to lose them. So that means whichever group it was, they were riding really hard, but they were not making a whole lot of progress. Because we didn't just kind of cruise like we usually do and let them come up to us like we do in the past. Today, no, we were riding. We're riding as hard as the group rides. So we're not just cruising in zone 2. the bottom of zone 4 right now. So we're working. See how my cadence has been varying? 85, 90 something, 85 to 95, just work. That's the range of the rhythm that I'm using on this particular day. That's what I mean when I say keep your rhythm the same. It doesn't need to be in a particular number, it's a range. And I'm in a groove here. And Paul and I ride enough together to where he knows I've got a nice rhythm here. So unless he really feels great, he will just let me do my thing. Because he'll get plenty of chance to ride. We're riding about 7.5 hours. You know, this is the first hour or so. About the first hour and a half. The road goes up. I probably downshifted. Okay, he's coming around.
I don't see no group, buddy.
Yeah, there is a group coming.
So what he said is there was a group coming. He's out of camera range, so you couldn't hear him very well. He says the group coming, but it will probably catch us over the top or something like that. That's what he said, just by gauging it. I looked again. I didn't see them. I believe, I know they're there. And then I decided, okay, we're just going to keep it going. So we're doing about 28 miles an hour here. We're doing 28 miles an hour. I'm in the draft. My heart rate has dropped below tempo into zone 2. So this is the benefit of riding with someone, whether it's a breakaway or whatever. So I'm actually resting. So when he's done, I'll be able to go to the front and work harder than what I'm doing right now. You see how close I am to him? That's what I'm talking about. This is how you save energy. Because he's punching a hole in the wind. So you might as well use his body to save energy of up to 30% or more. You can save. I think they said 30 to 33%. So I moved up. I could feel the grade coming. I want him to save it because we're going to go over that overpass. And I got enough of a break because when I train solo, I don't rest because I'm not with anybody. So when I'm with Paul or with the group, just that little 30-second or so reprieve, you feel rejuvenated. So I came around, tried to keep it steady so he wouldn't have to accelerate too much. Because when I was following him, I was tight on his wheel.
Yeah.
I kept the gears very moderate on this climb because you want to keep your legs supple. They're nowhere near. We started seeing them looking. What was I think I could see them right before we started the climb, and then after the climb, it's like they went backwards. You hear me tell him they must have blown when they hit this climb. They were not close enough to catch us or even call out to us. I truly expected them to be able to catch us at this point, but you know.
Oh yeah, they're gonna have to work.
He said they'll have to work to get up to us. I looked in the mirror and I said, they seem to be going backwards. That's what he said. They'll have to work. We're going hard, but not very hard. I hope you know what I mean. This is my Wednesday workout zone here.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I looked in the mirror and laughed. That's what he thought. That's what he said. I looked in my mirror and like they disappeared. I'm like, they just seemed to hit a wall. We couldn't see who was in the group. They were that far back when we noticed their presence. They were not close enough for us to even make out who was in the group. So. Yeah, right here I started feeling good because at first, that's why when you train for time trials, when you have a time trial coming up, you get on the trainer, you warm up, and then you push into the zones that you're going to use in the time trial. That opens, kind of like opens up the pipes. So once we crested that, I told him, oh, now I'm warmed up. I started feeling good now. Got used to being on this effort. So this is where we decided we're going to go straight. Because we had talked about what route to do. We thought we were going to do Spring Branch. Because they were going straight to Taco. We weren't going to go to Taco with them anyway. So we had decided to do Spring Branch and then go off into the forest. But once we got here, we decided let's just go straight and go east and go do those hills. I'm telling you, on the overpass, I saw them going backwards. They were far in the distance already, but when we started to climb, nah, they didn't make any progress. Because we usually, when this happens, this has happened before. And, I was more annoyed about the way it was done today that created a hazard for us that were following. That's what I was annoyed about, because Paul and I never wait for anyone.
Yep.
They want to wait, let them wait. We never stop. I'm not waiting for nobody. You want to ride with us, be on time.
I can't even see them. Yep, good. Wow. He's a rider, my brother. Yep.
I'm staying smooth, maximizing aerodynamics, keeping my legs close to the top tube. You see my legs are inside my arms.
Yeah.
You probably know some people who ride with their legs pointed out. That's inefficient. And then some people are just built that way. If you bow-legged or whatever, everybody's got their own little downshift here. The road's going up.
Yep. Let them try today.
They tried.
Yep.
I saw them.
Yep.
We hit that overpass and went. Tackle.
This is how you ride. Let the wind do its thing. You just get a rhythm. The wind is your friend. The wind makes you strong and it keeps you cool. Don't dread the wind. Just know it's going to take more work and more time to get where you're going if you want to lift the pace. If you're taking it easy, let the wind do its thing. Put it in the proper gear and stay in the proper effort zone you want to be in for that particular workout. So look, I don't know what I was telling Paul here, but
yeah, man.
it's like I think we're coming to the corner at 105 coming up. I didn't want to shift, so I stood up to keep the gear rolling.
You saw how we used the gear.
Yep.
You don't need to kill yourself. You don't need to kill your legs to go fast. Legends, we're in Conroe near the lake. The largest expanse of the lake. A lot of construction in this section here. It shouldn't last too long.
We're about to cross the lake. In about a kilometer, we'll be hitting the lake, the largest expanse of Lake Conroe. The water was very beautiful and inviting on this day. I was gonna give Paul the camera because I saw these cars using the middle turn lane, but he decided to come on that side. And so I moved over and handed it to him. We had to use the lane back there. You see that concrete thing? That's for construction. They've been working on parts of this road in different sections. east of where we are right now, behind us, because we're headed west. So you want to use the road when you have this situation so they can move over. There's not, you know, not much else you can do. You don't want to ride by those barriers. So the barriers now go away, and now we have the shoulder is beginning. I'm staying to the right so Paul can stay a little to my left. That's why I'm on the white line. Once it ends, we have a nice shoulder. I'm gonna move over. We're doing about 18 miles an hour right now, thereabouts. You cannot sit on your bike for an extended period of time without shifting around and whatever, then you need to revisit your fit. Get a professional to help you, or you will spend the rest of your time cycling trying to fiddle with it. If you don't know what you're doing to dial yourself in, get help. And do your research before you choose a fitter. They're not all created equal. Get someone that will explain what they're doing so you can comprehend and understand the process, because the fit becomes yours. We've got a bit of a tailwind here. As you can see, my heart rate is very low. There is no power this week because I had a problem with the power pedals. It has since been replaced by Garmin within like 3 days after contacting them. I was very impressed. There's a car turning left, so these guys slowed down. You can see the lake. We're entering the crossing area. It's a long bridge. In the winter, this thing blows from the north. It's beautiful today. A lot of people fishing. You can see them. Look to the right. You'll see fishing boats. People standing. They got their lines cast already. My goal here is to keep the pace steady so Paul can get some kind of a rhythm. Because we've got a long day ahead of us. We've got another 5 hours or so to ride, 5.5 hours. So we're not even at a halfway point yet. And the wind is shifting on us. So we never really got a tailwind when we're headed back. You'll see that in a bit. If you look at my feet, it look like I'm slapping the pedals. That's what happens when your attachment, your cleat and your shoes are dialed in. Your feet roam free, meaning your leg, the knee action and everything. There's nothing controlling it. They're allowed to move in their natural plane. So those points of attachment where you sit and where your feet are and your hands are critical to keeping you comfortable on the bicycle. I have no weight on my hands. They just guide the bike. My weight is evenly distributed between the saddle and the pedals. Well, somewhat evenly, I guess 65-35, something like that. But as I pedal harder, the saddle gets unloaded and the weight transfers to the pedals. It just happens. I'm using my elbows at 90 degrees to slice through the breeze. There's a lot of debris. Some type of piece of, there's something on there. If I'm pointing at it a long time, yeah, that, I don't know what that was, fell off of a car. But that was dangerous. So the idea here is to feel the sensations of the gear you're in and determine, can I stay in this? Should I shift up? Should I shift down? That's what it's about. That's why this sport is never boring. You cannot master it. The terrain and the conditions, the environmental conditions change all the time. So it's always a challenge. Right here, the road's gonna go up. If you look at the grade above the Cyclist in the display there, it's gonna go up. I think it gets to like 2% or something before we hit a light. But when you come off the bridge, you feel it. It hasn't registered yet, but it's there. And I make sure I downshift, and it says 1%. It's gonna kick all the way up to the light. That's why you gotta save something when you're crossing that bridge. Because as long as you're going west, you're gonna be going up. So at this point, we're on 1097. We have just exited the Sam Houston National Forest on Bethel Road. We're headed south towards Montgomery, Texas. Listen to the wind. The wind has shifted. Now it's blowing from the south, which is in our face, and from the east, which is on our left. We were hoping we'd have the northeasterly flow that we had this morning to push us back home, but no. And one thing about us is if you can give us a wheel, we're going to take it. In a little bit, there are a couple of guys that will come by. They were on the highway when we got out of the forest. And so we saw them, but they kept yo-yoing on and off the back or whatever. And then all of a sudden they came by. And you'll see me go and ask them if it's okay for us to sit in. You always want to do that because we don't know them. You can't just invade somebody's space because you're on a bicycle. That's rude. You need to ask if it's okay. More often than not, they won't care, but it's just a common courtesy to ask. So right about here, they're gonna come by, right there. They speak, and I told them good morning as they went by. Then Paul accelerates and he decides, hey, I'm not gonna fight this wind. If these guys are gonna tow us, let them tow us. Because we've got about another maybe 10 kilometers before we get to 149 near downtown Montgomery. We're on the way home. This is probably, let's see, 3:44, so almost 4 hours, 15 minutes until 4 hours into the ride. So 4.5 hours or so we've been on the bike. but it doesn't register because we turn on the camera when we got the crust pizza. So I give him the camera and then I ride up to ask them if it's okay. So he said, yeah, we're good, it's okay. I said, would you mind if we just sat in? He said, no. That's the proper way, you know. You want people to know you're on their wheel. You don't just start drafting someone you don't know when they go by. That's not cool. Unless it's somebody you know and he's your mate. And chances are, if he is, when they go by, you all would chat and everything. But we don't know these guys. These guys appear to be from out of town because at the corner at the end where we part ways, they're looking at a map and they're asking for the local park that Paul and I used to start our rides from. So it was cool to see them out here. Everybody's out riding their bikes. You know, they're new to the area, but they're exploring. So I asked him if it was okay for us to sit in. I didn't tell him we're gonna pull or do anything. So our intent is to just sit in. They're gonna ride. But if you get on somebody's wheel or some people's wheel and they start to rotate, then you just go on through. But we let them pull on this one. We basically wanted to take a little bit of a break. We're about ready to go to our first stop on the ride so we can refuel. We're headed towards Taco Corner. We like to go to Taco Corner on the way back because that's like 3.5, 4 hours into the ride or more. I was unzipping there. It's nice to be able to do that with one hand. That's our springtime Souke kit, but you can wear that in the summer too. It's just the colors are more reddish orange than the other one, which is more of a yellowish orange. Hear that wind? It's pounding us. So I'm not that concerned about my cadence at this point. I put it in a larger gear and I'm just turning it, because they're punching a hole in the wind and I'm not really riding hard. So we're getting towed along, free speed. So if you're behind, this is what you want to use this opportunity to eat, drink, and just kind of chill, just relax. That's all I'm doing, just chilling, keeping my eye on their wheel, Paul's on my wheel. But we're not really working that hard here. You see my heart rate has dropped into zone 1. The road goes somewhat downhill and it's going to curve to the left. So our speeds will go up, but you see my effort continues to drop. That's why you train consistently. You want to remain fit, keep your engine tuned, so it's efficient. I'm using my mirror. I can see that the highway behind me in this lane is clear. That's why you see me over that white line. This is what they call a free ride. We're just sitting in, and that's why I talk about it. If you're in a big group and you're just sitting in, you're not really working that hard. So you can use the opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to take it easy for a while and then only work towards the end of the ride. So in the big grand tours, that's what happens. Those guys sit in until they come to some part of the race that is their objective, and then they go and do their work. The road goes up here. I'm staying glued to that wheel in front of me. My heart rate went up when we climb back there. It's gonna go back down. Your heart rate will work almost like a rev meter. The fitter you are, the more recovery you get, meaning when it goes up, it comes back down. It flicks like a prop, a propeller. But when you're not fit, man, it goes up and it just stays there. That's why you're supposed to start with base training. So it was nice that these guys came by, because we got a nice break from this wind, because we had been fighting it for hours. So the guy in front would periodically look back and whatever. And we're just kind of chilling. And they were good at pointing out debris and whatever, but you can see where I am. I can see around them. I didn't need the warnings. We know this road. We know where all the stuff is. And using my mirror, it was clear. This road is not very busy, ever. So that's one of the reasons we use it. You get a good workout on these kind of roads. So the range of grades on this road is like up to 4% or so, or 4.5%. sit where I am because I can see around them and it's clean. The road is not busy. I use my mirror. The road's going up. I don't do too much shifting because we got a nice break sitting in these guys' draft. It was nice. And that's the way a group is supposed to ride. Just steady she goes. You don't need to be speeding up, slowing down, all that foolishness. It's not a road race. Because then everybody can get a rhythm. Right here, they said it needed to.
Let's take a second to figure out where we're going. All right.
Taco Corner. Where you guys headed?
To, what's that park called? Monument Park? Some park.
Monument Park. There's a park
Right up that way?
up there.
Okay.
Okay, that's the closest park.
Okay.
I don't know if it's called Monument. We used to start rides out of there, but
Okay.
it's right up there. So you got to go left.
Left here. Thank you.
Right.
Have a good day.
Take care.
Yeah, have a good ride.
All right.
We got to meet 2 new guys because of cycling. That's what it's about. They're going north. They're going to go to that park. So at this point in the ride, we're low on fluids. The temperature is 30 Celsius. We're right close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're headed towards Taco Corner so we can get some supplies. We ended up stopping within another hour. I got through all the supplies we got at Taco Corner quickly. For some reason, my body was burning a ton of calories on this ride. So I pretty much ate everything I had in my pocket, and we stopped at another store and bought some other stuff and more Gatorade. And so I needed some sugars in my system. You got to do that before you run out of energy. My legs felt great, but my tank felt empty an hour and a half after we left Taco Corner. So you got to pay attention on the long rides. There's no formula. Everybody burns calories at different levels. I'm looking at the cars coming there. There's one more. I'm looking in my mirror, and now it's clear. And I verify before I turn. And we're going towards Taco Corner there. So we're headed east. I told Paul it was nice riding with those guys. So when you're riding, if there's a shoulder, use the shoulder. If it's clean and safe, use it. If it's not, use the road. I was riding with some guy in the woodlands who's been riding for a while on Sunday. It just came upon him. I went out to the sun and ski ride, and he was all over the road. I had to tell him, I said, do you realize that this road is open to other traffic? It blows my mind for somebody who rides a lot. It's like he's oblivious to the fact that other people want to get by. You know? And this is what annoys some of the drivers. Inconsiderate cyclists. You're not going as fast, even in your car. If you're not going as fast, drivers they have a tendency sometimes to move onto the shoulder to let people go by. And he was just all over the road, and we're riding along, and I'm looking at him like, does he not know that their car is trying to get around us? I had to tell him, get over, single file, like he was some new rider. Like, man, he follows Paul on Strava. I told Paul about his name. He told me what his name was. People ride a lot and they learn very little. I mean, it's funny. Just because you're out there riding a bike doesn't mean they're learning anything. This is the famous Taco Corner. It's a good location, It's in Montgomery County. It's in the middle of all the big rides. But when we're coming and heading north, it's too early of a stop. Returning, it is perfect. And plus, they have the best prices in the area.
Yeah.
That's what I told Paul. I said, this is when you come to Taco Corner. This is 4 hours and 45 minutes into our ride. The 45 minutes doesn't show in the duration because we started the camera 45 minutes after we got rolling. So remember, get your K's in and keep those doctors fired.